Good morning, good evening, good day. Welcome everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're watching this, then most likely you just watched the Skyblivion release announcement trailer. Something that we are very proud of and extremely excited to actually show to all of you. And because of that, we also wanted to show off essentially why 2025 is our estimated release year, as well as just to show you what we have now, and kind of share with you in a bit more detail the plans for the project, as well as of course to answer some frequently asked questions. One of the most common questions up until I guess today was Skyblivion when. And hopefully, moving forwards, the question will be Skyblivion how, or I don't know, maybe how are the devs doing instead of how is the project doing. Yeah, having said that, we're gonna jump in game. We're gonna start off in a spot that I think we all know. Also, we're gonna be starting off with our very first bug. We have new loading screens in the game, but we have one issue where if you start or if you continue your game, the loading screen you see doesn't have the new artwork. Don't worry, we'll do some fast traveling later to show off the load screen artwork that we have implemented, which we are very happy with. But for now, bear with me as I get the character set up because I am overloaded with cool gear. Unfortunately, that means I cannot move, so we're going to use some God mode as well as a few other commands to make the stream a bit easier on me and the rest of the team. And talking about the rest of the team, that's a good opportunity to say that I will be joined by other developers of the project, people who lead various departments for Skyblivion, and they will be able to introduce themselves right around now while I try and figure this out. Hey guys, how's it going? We're live, we're here. Feel free to introduce yourselves while I look at some console commands.
Hi, I'm D Keys. I'm the lead of level design for both the exterior and interior spaces of Skyblivion.
Hello, I am Heavy Burns. I am the communications lead, which is definitely a real role, and I mostly do the video work and dabble in some other things when necessary.
Hi, I'm Abs. I am one of the Navmesh leads of Skyblivion.
I am Jack. I'm one of the implementation leads for Skyblivion as well.
Alright, sweet. Cheers, guys, for actually making it tonight. Speaking on my own behalf, it's already been pretty busy. Obviously, you guys won't know this, but the team and myself actually watched the trailer live. Almost no one on the team had seen it until today, so that was actually very cool to be able to share that with everyone and see everyone's reaction live, as well as the first reaction videos on YouTube of people watching our trailer and responding to it, which has been really cool. Having said that, we have arrived at basically the start of the game. Behind me we have the Imperial City sewer system, which functions as the tutorial dungeon for Oblivion and therefore also the tutorial dungeon for Skyblivion. And this will be basically your first steps into, well, Cyrodiil, hopefully in 2025, or, you know, who knows, maybe a little bit earlier, time will tell. Today's Q&A and gameplay demo will be going through parts of the game that we think, for one, show off Skyblivion at its best, let's say, but we'll also be showing off a couple of more raw and work in progress areas of the map, which will hopefully highlight why we do need those 2 years to essentially finish what we started, but will hopefully also kind of show why we are so confident in making the deadline of 2025 at the very latest. Maybe something else to quickly mention is that currently I'm wielding one of the coolest weapons in the game, Umbra, which I'll show you in a second why it's so cool. If a slaughterfish could, there we go. Try and oh, that's not a slaughterfish, it's a river betty. Come my way. There's one. It's in Oblivion as well. It's a sword that literally sucks the souls, but it's one of the few weapons where honestly we went above and beyond with not just the effects of the weapon it has in game, but also like the visual effects on it. I'll demonstrate once more on our mudcap friend. Oh, no soul gem large enough. That's not good. It's a very bad example. Also, the main point of today's video is actually to do a Q&A, which means that we would love to hear your questions. So if you have questions, please ask them in the various chats, and we will try and get back to you with an answer that hopefully will satisfy your question appropriately. You can see actually the soul gets literally sucked into the blade, and the caricatures on the hilt light up, and it's the coolest thing ever. How many grapes have you placed in Skyblivion so far? Not a question I was expecting. Something we can check in the creation kit, but
Let's check. I'll give you a live update.
yeah, Ludus.
There are
You can check.
199 grapes.
199 grapes.
I thought that'd be
to, be
more.
Grapes.
It's not.
to be fair, in 2 years that number may vary.
I'll make it
expecting
200
to be
right
higher.
now.
God damn.
Something else that's maybe interesting to mention, we have behind us the Imperial City, which is actually in early stage of development. You saw a snippet in the trailer of the Talos district, which was looking very, very snazzy. And we have a very talented 3D artist currently working on the rest of the city, after which level designers will get to work, followed by Navmesh, followed by QA, and finally followed by the quest department, who will be able to implement various quests that happen throughout the main capital of Cyrodiil. What's also interesting is that we are currently in a region referred to as the Heartlands, most likely due to the fact that it's located in the heart of Cyrodiil, which is also where, again, you find the Imperial City. People often ask if we can share the map, so here we are. With all its beauty and also flaws. For instance, we can see the city of Coral is not using the appropriate UI artwork. Same issue with Chadenhall on the West Gate. But as we said, 2 years, so we should be able to sort that out the next 24 months. Maybe interesting to quickly talk about the main regions on the maps. We have the Heartlands in the middle. We have the Gerald Mountains in the top here, which you know best from Skyrim, followed by the Valus Mountains near the Morrowind region. We have the Niven Valley and the Niven Basin. We have Blackwood, which is more of a swamp. Then we have the West Weld over here with the Gold Coast and the Colovian Highlands, with Kvatch being very neatly in between these three different regions, which makes it a very interesting area to work on from a level design perspective. Hopefully in today's stream we'll be checking out all of them, actually, because the exterior map is mostly completed at this point. There's a few small areas that we still have to work on, but overall it's in a very very presentable state.
Spellcasting got a separate dedicated usual game. Yes, there will be spell crafting. There's a new system for it where you can add spell effects and the potency and the like area of effect and all those sorts of things, like duration. So that's all being re-added.
Spellcrafting is actually in the game right now.
Yep.
Already. I totally forgot to highlight this, but I'm not sure who actually saw that, but at the start of the stream, we did have proper underwater combat. I actually killed a slaughterfish underwater. Is that how you say it? In the water, I guess. Just like in Oblivion, which wasn't a mechanic in Skyrim. Whether or not it makes sense is a debate we welcome you to have amongst yourselves, but it's a mechanic from Oblivion that for some quests, such as the quest where you're supposed to retrieve the skills around Lake Rumare, it's kind of essential.
Will the map be like this in the final release, or will it be a paper map like in Oblivion? We are working on a paper map, but we kind of need the whole of the world map to be basically in the final stages before we can do that. Otherwise, we're going to have to keep going back and redrawing the map, essentially. So, will be paper for the current plan.
It'll also be mixed for. It'll be a paper map for the main world, but any others like the Oblivion realms, we'll just use Skyrim's sort of LOD system.
Yep. I saw someone asking if we still accept more devs, and yes, 100% more devs. You go to our website and apply there.
More devs.
Skyblivion.com. More devs, please. Yes.
The more devs we have, the more chances that 2025 release date could become a late 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Runestones in the game? Yep, they are.
Off the top of my head, I know there's one new here. Also, on that note with the trailer, the release of a Skyblivion trailer, the reasoning for it is actually twofold. I mean, for one, we're really excited that we are confident enough to announce that 2025 release date is within reason for us in the current state. But it's not just that, it's also for the people who have been working on the project for the last few years. I think it's very exciting to see all their work shown off in such a polished fashion, as well as to try and make a final effort to reach potential new volunteers. Skyblivion is and always has been a volunteer project, and because of that, the amount of time that we can invest into the project varies. When I started Skyblivion, I just started uni, and now I'm working a full-time job. So the amount of time I have compared to the early days of Skyblivion is very different, and because of that, it's always nice to try and get new volunteers to join the project to sort of replace some of the older devs that have been around for a while and maybe need to lessen the amount of time that they spend on the project or simply cannot spend any more time. So with that in mind, the motivation behind making the release trailer is not just to announce that it can come out in 2025, it's also to try and encourage people to sort of like join us in this last part of Skyblivion's development cycle. Sort of like it's a last chance, should you be interested in working on a project like this, to actually jump on. The reason why I stopped here, by the way, is because it is one of my, I think, top 10 favorite quests in Oblivion. It's a town filled with people who've been turned invisible by a nearby mage. We're not going to do the quest, we have shown it off in the past, but here's a very, very invisible gentleman, as well as, I'm not sure if you noticed, but some invisible sheep. Here, there's one very not so invisible sheep, which I'm proud to say is one of the many bugs we have currently. Which again is a good highlight as to why we are currently aiming for 2025 and not tomorrow. This is not necessarily game breaking, but I promise you there's plenty of game breaking content in the game as it is right now.
kind of volunteers you're looking for. Any 3D artists? Anyone familiar with Skyrim quest making? Anyone who can get 3D art into the game, into Skyrim?
Particularly 3D artists who are specialised in either plants or clothing would be really useful right about now. We'll take anyone.
Level designers, nav meshers. If you join our Discord, you can ask further questions about recruitment there. It's probably the best place to ask.
One of the things that's been worked on in, like, I would say the last year that I'm super stoked about is we have a dedicated developer working on unique artifacts. So both Daedric artifacts and special weapons wielded by villains in the game. Like, for instance, here the Skull of Corruption, or sorry, the Staff of Worms. And we have some, honestly, banging enchantments on some of these weapons. Like, they're really cool. Actually, let me see if I can use it on an unwilling subject.
How much does it cost? It's completely free. It's a mod.
Yeah, it's a free mod for the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. We would require people to have a legitimate copy of both Skyrim and Oblivion. But other than that, no requirements from our side. Here we have there we go. Here we have our imps, which currently don't have wings, which is a bit of a problem. There we go. There's also another issue right now, which is navmesh. Due to the lack of navmesh, NPCs have a really hard time trying to find one another. Without navmesh, the NPC can basically not see where they're supposed to go, which explains why the imp is sort of just like floating around away from us, and our skeleton boy here had trouble actually finding his target. But that's one of the very cool new weapon effects, at the very least, that I just mentioned, as well as a pretty interesting fort. Put together by Deludus, actually, now that I think about it.
Yep, it was mine. Someone asked about chance for picking up alchemy ingredients. That's not a thing currently. We could explore potentially in the future, but at the moment this Skyrim, you press the button and it collects it.
Something else I want to mention, full disclosure, before we started the stream, I found an issue with the game, one crash, which, to be fair, I think is something to be celebrated, to be honest, because after playing for 2 hours and basically running through the entire map at like 10 times the normal speed of your character, I can only find one crash, but that crash is in front of us, near Way, which is the small settlement before the Imperial City. Because of that, I'm going to be fast traveling ahead a little bit, because where I wanted to go, or what I wanted to do, is take this route, which you usually take for the main quest, to go from the Imperial Prison Sewer to Coral, which is where we go to Wayland Priory. Again, I want to stress the fact that there's a reason why we're saying 2025 and not tomorrow, and it's, amongst other things, because of issues like this, where we've not yet figured out what is causing a crash, which obviously needs to be sorted. And yeah. Let me actually pull up some map markers, otherwise I have nothing to travel to. Let's see if Fort Ash works. Oh, we have enemies nearby. Here we have some very fantastic loading screen artwork, which are a bit of a mix between Skyrim and Oblivion. And not to ruin it, but I think I've run into an infinite load screen, which is another issue that's currently present in the game. Which basically means that the game is stuck trying to load the save, or trying to load your character, and, well, is in a loop and will not finish loading the game.
Hey, but it gives us a great opportunity to admire our load screens.
That's true. All right, let me restart it real quick.
There was a
Mercurion. Yes, they were. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say there was a question about is the ESO locations going to be in, and the brief answer is no. But there is like one Easter egg, right, Luke, that I think you made or something.
That was from a Daggerfall. That was.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought
sorry.
it was like
Yeah.
Shadow Key or something.
Oh, maybe it was Shadow Key. Yeah, it's like the Mage's teleport thing from the Arcane University.
Mhm.
Where they, something like that.
Is the depth of field colors native, or are you using EMB with presets? It's all built-in weather systems. There's no EMB, no reshade, no nothing. It'll look like that when you play, if you don't install anything else.
Someone else asks, I would assume since release isn't for 2 more years, at least Shivering Isles will be included. Very poggers. No Shivering Isles. The 2-year release window is really required for us to finish, I would say, Deadlands, Imperial City. What else do we have left? Like a dozen clothing sets.
Yeah, and a bunch of plants.
A bunch of plants.
Lots of plants.
We have interiors for Leowin, Shadenhall.
Like 70%
That's it?
of the world nav mesh. Don't forget about that.
Yes, but the entire interior department and exterior department will be whipped into shape
Yes, they
come
will.
Navmesh time.
Will the minor DLC be included? Some of them will be included within the base game, right? I think already some of them are in.
Well, like Skyrim
Yeah.
automatically like came with spell tomes, so that was one.
Yes.
I believe the Wizard's Tower has been created already.
And horse
Well, it's
armor is,
developed,
in
but
progress.
we haven't implemented.
Yeah.
We probably
there's a chance-
won't until after release. Like
There's a chance that some could come out, but sorry, Lee.
yeah, well, we do plan to have the smaller DLC come out, you know, like maybe a couple of weeks after the base game releases or a couple of months. Like after the base game releases, we hope to have like a steady little stream of the little smaller DLCs come out, and then once that stops, we'll be working on the bigger expansions.
I may have actually found what's potentially causing the crashes, because I get an infinite load that's reproducible around Fort Ash. So maybe it has something to do with Fort Ash, or at least the area around it. So I'm going to start loading into anywhere but Fort Ash, which worked off stream today.
You immediately got off script after you tested it for so long.
Yeah. I try my best to sort of prepare for the stream, but I also, like, originally we were going to do this next week. But yeah, plans be damned.
So I've been seeing a couple of questions about other like mods within Skyblivion. Do any of you guys want to comment on other like fan created mods within Skyblivion?
Do you mean like are we packaging any alongside
like,
it?
What if people want to do their own mods?
Modding is the exact same as Skyrim, so like it's the exact same engine, exact same software to use, so it's the exact same as Skyrim, the modding. The only issue is just, you know, there will be patches needed to be made for Skyblivion for certain mods.
Just as I've also seen some questions about Skywind. We're two different projects. We do try to collaborate or share things if possible, but since we're in two different worlds, it doesn't always happen. But we wish them all the best in their development cycle and can't wait to see what they come out with as well.
Will you restore cut content from Oblivion in Skyblivion? It depends really on what that is. The only really restored content would be like aesthetic, slightly. As for quests and stuff, no. Anything extra we really want to avoid, just because we don't want feature creep. We just want the important stuff, which is everything that you played in 2006, just updated.
Will Skyblivion be a separate installation from regular Skyrim? Yeah, we'll have our own installer that you'll download on the website or wherever we can get it up, really. And then it will basically locate both your directories for Oblivion and Skyrim and then do everything for you. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, this is not going too well.
So Skyblivion will... So the remastered version will be on Special Edition.
Just COC from the menu, Kyle. Don't load any saves.
Yeah, saves aren't reliable in our builds at the minute because of the UI.
Saves are bloated and stuff.
There are sweet rolls in the game.
Cities 1-to-1 copies, or have you added more inspired from the city? Some cities are completely revamped. Leeuwin has been completely revamped. Anvil has been completely revamped to more look like their intended concepts. Some cities are getting like a little bit of a change in design. Others that are, were kind of perfect in the original, we're staying the same. Skingrad's layout is pretty much unchanged, as is Bruma's.
Yeah.
Breville as well was the same.
Yeah.
Except in the castle. Some of the cities in Oblivion were very much like Leeuwin in Oblivion. It felt like they just threw houses down on the land rather than had a unique city. As well as a city was very confusing to walk around. Now it's separated into 3 proper districts, and some of the cities weren't so bad, like Breville with its step layout, and Broome with a step layout, and Skingrad was divided into 2 halves. They were fairly nice cities to navigate, but some of the others needed revamps.
Is there a chance to see a release demo? Very, very, very unlikely. Or just no.
No.
Just because it's way extra work to actually put together a demo. So if you want a demo, that means Skyblivion will come out probably like a year or 2 after. Then we already planned.
Yeah.
So not worth it. We could get the game out quicker than we can get a demo probably at this point.
At least the game is finally working-ish.
It's good.
We got
Don't
the
say
remake.
things.
Are you going to use the RTX remix? That's a good question. Does that benefit us in any way?
No, I don't think it runs on the DirectX 11. I think it only works on DirectX 9 titles.
Oh my god.
So someone has a question on why we have to own Oblivion to play Skyblivion. It's because we'll be taking files directly from Oblivion as well. It also has to do with legal reasons from Bethesda. So it's kind of a twofold thing. And unfortunately, no, it's only available on PC. Sorry, Luke.
Are there new voice actors? No, we're using all of the voices from Oblivion. There's no new voice acting.
So we we arrived in Bruma, and one of the first things people saw was the rotated door. Interesting thing about that door, and the reason why it's rotated, is because a lot of the meshes that we're using in the game are first ported from Oblivion, and basically used as a placeholder until we can remake them. The new doors that were remade had a different orientation, which is not a big deal because there's only like 24 in the game at best. But it does mean that, for instance, here, like Bruma is a city that both the Ludist and myself worked on, but because the doors were added after we finished the city, they're currently unfixed. And to be honest, up until now, I hadn't noticed that they were, so that's something that can easily be fixed. I
think we fixed that the other day, didn't we? When we realized the Bruma door hadn't been replaced, and we replaced the asset.
Oh right, yeah.
Like a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah. So that's honestly, this is going to be a really big part of the next 3 years, which is where we are basically going to be playing the game to death to try and fix at least the most game-breaking issues. I'm not gonna promise that Skyblivion will be a perfect game in any way, shape, or form. It's still a Bethesda game, and I think we will honor that by also providing a buggy experience in some areas. I don't really think there's a way around that. But at the very least, we'll try and make it playable, let's say. This area is interesting in that it is very ugly and unappealing, and the reason for that is because it's basically in between two different parts of the map, which we want to save for last. So basically, what happens when different developers work on the area, we have a developer doing work on the right, and we have a developer doing work in Bruma, and then at the last pass, as we like to call it, someone comes in and ties them together nicely, which avoids conflicts, and keeps us from basically wasting time on doing, like, for instance, the landscaper above working all the way down there, the landscaper below working all the way up there, and then we have to try and figure out whose work is going to be saved and whose will have to be removed because it conflicts with the others.
I think I do how many gigs this mod will take up. I think the current build is about 40 gigs.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, 40 to 50 at the moment. So probably about 50 to 60, I imagine, once do it by then.
Well, I mean, we have
It's
to do an
gonna be
optimization pass with some of our textures, because we definitely have textures in the build that are too big, and we also have to pack up assets into BSAs, which will make them compressed, basically, which should also save a good bit of hard drive space.
It'll probably be about the same amount as a fully modded Skyrim would be. A Skyrim install with tons of mods replacing everything, it'll probably be around the same size as that. Is probably a rough estimate.
Carl, just a question. Are you setting timescale to 0 by any chance?
Yeah.
That's why you have an infinite loading screen.
Really?
That's
Idiot.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You can just load back your old game and just don't do that.
I learned that trick from you like 2 days ago. I saw you doing that. I was like, oh, that's kind of handy. God damn it.
That's why you ask questions before just adopting techniques.
So I'm seeing a couple of questions about languages, and I know that theoretically, any languages that are covered by Oblivion should be covered in Skyblivion.
That changed recently, didn't it? When we realized that.
Yeah, high quests are done.
No options will actually display your native language, but I believe if you export from like a Spanish version of Oblivion, you should get the voice lines that are in Spanish, but all the menu will be in English.
Thanks.
I require community patches and stuff later, and to properly do that, obviously, because we can't really rely and do a certain language.
Yeah, we just don't have any localization teams.
Yeah, it take a few people a long time to localize the entire game, so.
Will Skyblivion be compatible with models number 2?
Oh.
Yes, and it already is. That's what we use.
Yep.
Run it and use Creation Kit and install things onto it if we need to test things.
You've not seen that yet, Carl?
No, that's the first time I'm actually trying that.
It's awesome.
I had no idea. Again, there's currently in the game a lack of nav mesh in most areas, which means that NPC will not be able to attack you. Like, I promise you they will work just fine in game, but the lack of nav mesh will currently make them a bit dumb.
My team just hasn't gotten there yet.
Seems like somebody's missing the latest troll as well. that was shown off in the trailer.
Yeah, so that's another thing. The trailer shows off a good few things that we've been working on the last few months, and the main release of Skyblivion, like the main internal version of the game, gets updated maybe every quarter, sometimes every half year, with all the new content that people have been working on. So the trailer actually showed off some stuff that was finished recently, but it's not yet in the current build of the game, which is why currently I don't have the troll, even though we have it ready to go.
So you're telling me I have the most up-to-date version of Skyblivion out of everyone?
You do, yeah.
Wow.
Speaking of, can you send me all that stuff?
Oof. Unplayable. I just saw a bug.
Oh, what was it?
Can't say.
Tracker.
Too embarrassing.
Looks like someone asked if the trees change color seasonally. I do not believe so.
No.
That would be a cool mod.
That would be
I
cool
can work
mods.
on Seasons of Skyrim, but for Seasons of Cyrodiil, and then make that mod. That would be cool. And tricky, but cool.
The character creation is the same as Skyrim.
Yeah, we plan to update to whatever the latest version of Skyrim is at the time we release, essentially. But for now, we're just working on like SE, essentially, non-AE version.
This is going to be on console. It will not be on console. It's not possible for us to release on console because we require SKSE, even if we could get around the limit of 3 gigs, I believe. Perhaps.
What was that?
3 gigs, the limit for consoles, right? For mods?
Yes, it's 3 gigabytes. Yeah, so there's
Yeah, okay.
unfortunately no way. Like, we would love. I mean, I would love to have it on console, but just due to all the limitations, it's not possible unless Bethesda makes a huge, change and adds.
We also
yeah,
add
scripting.
SKSE.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if that were worth it, but I don't anticipate that it will.
Something we briefly spoke about, but there's no solid plans yet, is we might release content packs for console. So like the armors or weapons, stuff like that for your normal Skyrim game, but you won't be able to play the entire Cyrodiil game just because of the XKSE limitation.
Will this mod work for SE or a Special Edition and Anniversary Edition are the same game? So as long as you're on it'll be for the most up-to-date Skyrim version.
Mm-hmm.
Is it sufficient to have older version of Skyblivion? No, you need Special Edition because it is a Special Edition mod, so you will need a Special Edition.
I see questions for controller support. Skyrim already has controller support, so...
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people misunderstand. This is in Skyrim's engine, so like it's all the same mechanics as Skyrim.
So, like, the companion system will be the same, all that stuff.
Yeah.
No pre-order bonuses because you can't order this because it's free. So.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty good bonus.
Yeah, I mean,
Free
definitely.
bonus.
You don't have to pay anything, assuming that you own the copies of the game.
And yeah, in theory, VR should work. I think some people have sort of tested it, but we've never really properly tested VR. But it works on Special Edition, so it should work in Skyblivion. There's little reasons why it shouldn't work currently.
Someone's asking about Game of the Year for the voice part. You guys have input on that?
Game of the Year?
The Game of the
Yeah.
Year edition.
Yeah,
Oh.
Game of the Year edition.
It's the same thing, more or less, isn't it?
I
Same
think one
files.
is missing some minor DLC, but seeing as how the first release will focus on the main game, I don't think it'll be a big deal.
Yeah, the whole I think it's
Also-
deluxe edition versus Game of the Year edition. That's something we're all gonna have to figure out down the line in terms of the installer. But yeah, not quite important at the minute.
Can we mod Skyblivion? Yes, absolutely. And we will encourage modding Skyblivion when it's out, because that'll be really fun to see.
It's a big reason why we wanted to do Skyblivion. It's just because it breathed new life into Oblivion modding.
Or rejuvenate the old life, bring it back.
Yeah, the Oblivion's engine isn't the most stable for Skyrim, like a Skyrim level of modding.
Yeah.
Pairing together with Skyblivion, I'm pretty sure it does, right? I mean, we've had some people test it, and it
Yeah.
has worked.
Does it?
Yeah, I think Tiber and Isaac played together, right?
Oh, sick.
EMB work with regular Skyrim. It's still Skyrim's engine, so you can install EMB just the way you would normally. The only issue is the EMB presets won't be tailored to our weathers, so it won't look right. So
Yeah.
the only thing you would need to do is wait for an EMB preset to be made for Skyblivion.
Some very, very mild presets will probably be fine because they don't change too much.
Yeah, like the
anything-
depth of field, added
Yeah.
shadows.
Anything drastic or insane will probably have to be made custom by the mod authors. Or will have to be made, not probably.
Yeah, so currently Kyle is walking around the ruins of Sanctuator, which is a pretty significant area in the main quest.
I think, Kyle, if you RCC, it should auto-update the weather to its weather one.
That's if he wants to. He hates anything other than sunny.
We have
Kyle there.
a stiff Skelly boy.
Is the casting system Oblivion's or Skyrim? It's Skyrim's. Currently.
Yeah, again, I think that might be a lack of nav mesh making the skeleton T-pose so menacingly.
Definitely.
People are asking for different armor as well, Kyle, if you want to maybe mix it up a bit.
Oh yeah, totally forgot.
This isn't just a demo of the gameplay, this is a fashion show as well, you have to remember.
Apparently there's some audio issues, Kyle. Apparently you're quiet and I'm quiet, so maybe turn me up in Discord and crank your voice on Streamlabs.
I don't think Cal's quiet. I think when the person commented that, he just wasn't talking.
Oh.
I think you're also very loud, D keys.
Right click on
Well, that's not
Discord,
my mic,
Kyle,
that's
and
just
turn
me. In general.
We have achievements on Steam. If you use some of the mods to re-enable achievements, then you can get achievements from Skyrim, like finding 1,000 gold or whatever those achievements were. Those should still work, but there's no Oblivion achievements back.
Yeah, I
And
wish we
yes,
could put something like that in, but sadly
It'd be
not.
awesome.
You
People
sure
are
it's-
loving the glass armor.
Oh yeah, I love the glass.
This is something really interesting that our lead concept artist actually brought up about the Oblivion designs. Like, yeah, the glass armor looked pretty awful in Oblivion, but one of the biggest issues with it is just proportions. And basically, all the set has done is taken the Oblivion armor, added more detail to it, but it's the same design pretty much, has all the same key features, but they're just reproportioned.
Will Skyrim support any other languages other than English? Yes, any language that Oblivion supported, right, will be supported.
Well,
Except
not
for the-
roughly.
Yeah, like your voice files will work if you
Yeah.
export from like Spanish Oblivion, but all the text will still be in English because that's all the data we use is English. So
Right, I see.
Are there any returning characters? If you're talking about Oblivion, then every single one of them. It's a remake of Oblivion, so it's set in Oblivion's time. If you mean Skyrim, those Daedric gods.
Ayik is in both.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it the same Mayik though? That's the thing.
I
The
just
mystery.
got a message from one of our questing people saying quest objectives and logs will all be in English.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I guess
Well,
people
we-
can make translation mods for it, for the text at least, but the voice file should work.
Yes, I still see we're getting like release date questions. Like if you look at the top of the chat in the pinned on YouTube, you'll see there is a video, our latest trailer, showing our release date or release year.
Someone's asking what development hardships our team has experienced between the recent development cycle. Does anyone want to put their input on that? Like, what kind of hardships do you think we have experienced recently?
I suppose one thing is we don't always have the most consistent like team amount. Like we have people who come and go, and sometimes those people have very important skills that we
Directly attacked.
Yeah. Honestly, I was going to say like, where to start.
I was thinking of
because
3D.
No.
the biggest hardships, you know, we have too little time, we have too little people, we have too little tools. The creation kit is great, but it's clear that Bethesda has internal tools that they don't share with the modding community, which is fine, by the way. It's not a slight at them, but it makes your job more difficult. We have a problem with simply the way that we need to compile our work is very prone to error. So very often we kind of undo some of our own work accidentally because someone somewhere makes a very small mistake that is honestly very difficult to actually catch in the first place. Nothing about working on Skyblivion is easy or as it should be in this day and age when it comes to game development, but you kind of have to work with what you got. And I guess all of that makes it a very, very challenging hobby from time to time. Very rewarding, don't get me wrong, but basically everything that can go wrong often goes wrong.
Murphy's Law.
Also, I got an input again from quests that quests can be really tricky and are time-consuming. Skyrim's and Oblivion's quest systems are very different, and they require a fair amount of manual fixing and rewriting. So I think all departments have a lot of different issues that are kind of unique to us. But just in general, yeah, since we're all volunteers, you know, we're experiencing our own life challenges, and so it's just, you know, kind of unpredictable.
Will there still be development diaries? Yes, there will. There'll be one. Well, there's one in the works, but it won't be like super soon. But it'll be relatively soon, more soon than the last one at least.
No.
And we'll continue to make dev diaries up until we release. So yes.
What texture res mostly? Lots of the landscape textures are in 4K, but there's lots of 2K textures for like the basically big textures in the world are 4K or 2K. Then collectors normally 2K or 1K. Armors a mixture of 4, some are 2. Weapons a mixture of 4 and 2 as well. It's all about trade-offs. When we have a project this big, we can't have everything 4K because the game just ends up being massive. So there's a mixture of 4 and 2 and some 1, some below 1 as well for like really small things.
Talking about small things, sort of a little bit. I don't have a lot of time left, so maybe there's some requests from the chat of places we should visit or have a look at.
Someone was asking for Daedra shrines earlier.
Right.
Does anyone want to show off? Maybe I don't know.
I finished the Shrine of Malakath on stream last week, or this week, I think.
Fair enough.
Sure, it's on the gold
I
coast.
wanna see it.
We've just arrived at the Great Force. I'm just gonna prance around. and then we can go to the Shrine of Malakath. Because honestly, the Great Forest looks incredible. And I think it's my new favorite area of the game.
I'm seeing a lot of, oh gosh, some cities, Leowin.
Someone said Khajiit Town. Is there a Khajiit Town in Oblivion?
Kind of
So-
in
Oh,
Blackwoods,
Border
the
Watch.
one that has the Shiragorath quest.
Right.
You know, raining dogs.
Oh, that's a Border Watch, right?
Border Watch also is very close to the actual Elsewhere border, which has its own gate. Like a lot of our regions that are beside another province has its own like border gate now, similar to how Skyrim had. But ours are kind of a lot more customized based on what province they're neighboring.
Yeah.
Someone asked for Cloud Ruler Temple. Assuming Cloud
Someone-
Ruler Temple's new.
Somebody's asking for Hawkhaven. I saw somebody asked if we're going to remake that.
What's Hawkhaven?
Hawkhaven is the town in this testing hall.
Oh.
I
funny enough,
didn't
like-
want to ask because I'm like, you know, as a project lead, you should know what this stuff is. Like Hawkhaven, I don't know any town in the game that's Hawkhaven.
Funny enough, technically it will be kind of redone since the assets will get replaced automatically as
Yeah.
we work through them. So, you know, it will look different.
Technically,
Actually-
yes, but don't expect it to get like a shiny new coat of paint other than new models.
We give the
Actually-
Mace of Doom a unique model.
Well, I don't have it on me, but it is a unique model.
No, that's the Mace from the testing hall.
We're asking, we can't go in an Oblivion Gate since we still haven't really began like production on the Oblivion Realms. That's something that's very important that we're kind of planning out, making sure we get right at the start before we begin on that, as well as we still need assets.
Where are you going to, Cal?
To the Shrine of Malakath, and then we will go to Border Watch, right?
Sure.
The
A
hell
lot
of
of
a
people
detail.
asked for Cloud Ruler, by the way.
Honestly, I would like to schedule a second stream, maybe on Wednesday, because we had a lot of issues starting up, and it's partially to do because I just didn't have enough time to properly test the game, also with audio being off, and I think it might be good to actually try and redo this later this week, maybe a bit longer as well, after I come home from work.
Yeah.
If you guys are up for it. And then we can have a bit more of a properly planned out Q&A session, and I can take some time to prepare a few things beforehand as well. Having said that, we've arrived in the Gold Coast. This is actually the area I've worked on in the game, and we have here the Shrine of Malakath, who is revered mostly by orcs, as you may have noticed. It's located in, as I mentioned, the Gold Coast. It's a bit secluded. Interesting thing about the Gold Coast in its current state is that it's mostly finished except for this part of the map, which I can show you. It's still very barren. This is where we need to build something to do with such, which I won't spoil. There's a mansion here that I've resumed working on after taking a bit of a break. And then lastly, the inn over there still needs a bit of work, and that's pretty much it as far as the Gold Coast is concerned. Everything else has been put together and is looking pretty damn good, if I do say so myself.
And that rock. Why is that rock floating?
Because that's the area that you cannot look at or judge.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure levitation's illegal in Cyrodiil, so that's, you know, it's gonna have to get sorted.
Yeah, Kyle, I do love what you've done with the Gold Coast, and I can't wait to nav mesh it to get it to my team. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Anvil is still a work in progress, so unfortunately we can't show that off just yet. But I'm sure that'll be part of a dev diary once we're done with it.
Any plans to make each Oblivion gate feel unique? Okay, well, there's 100 Oblivion gates, so we can't make 100 like world spaces. That would be insane. But we do plan to increase the amount of Oblivion realms. That way, at least the feeling of repetition will be, significantly less than Oblivion's. Because Oblivion originally it only had 8 realms that was distributed over 100 possible gates that could open. So that was why you would run into one gate and you would get some pretty serious deja vu. So hopefully, if we can get that up to a decent amount, it won't happen as often.
Someone is asking what is the area or place you looked forward to recreating. So, I guess maybe you guys, if you want to talk about what your favorite to recreate is, and maybe what you're looking forward to recreate for you who are level designers. So everybody but me.
I can say briefly now that the Imperial City is something that we've started working on properly now, and I've been working on the Talos Plaza lately, and just like seeing the new kind of like Imperial City design, reminiscent of the old one, but just way better, is super satisfying to work on and to basically bring to life as it should have been, I guess. So that's probably mine at the moment, is the Imperial City.
I think what I'm most looking forward to working on is the working on the tutorial dungeon. So it's been very fun. It's very opposite to most things we've done for Skyblivion. It is as close to a remake as I've been able to do, with all new assets and more detail and stuff. But
I think for me, well, what I'm currently looking forward to doing is the Oblivion realms, to really kind of ace those. I think a couple of us had real fun redesigning like the other Oblivion realms, not Dagon's realm, but the reimagining the other Daedric lords realms of Oblivion. So it was Vermina's realm, Periite's realm. I'm forgetting somebody.
This is the Archvid's Tower one, right? Or was that Vermina?
That's Vermina. Oh, that was one I did again. Boethia's realm.
Right.
So yeah, that's where we kind of got to just really do very unique alien landscapes. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to doing Dagon's and kind of really letting that shine.
I'm really looking forward to Anvil and the Gold Coast being finished. That was one of my favorite areas in game, and I just can't wait to see it all be tied together. Since there are 2 different people working on the interior of Anvil and then Rebel working on the exterior, so I'm super excited to see it all come together, and getting to put the world to life with a Navmesh. So that's what I'm looking for.
Which is good timing because our designer of Anvil has just popped in.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello, Weasler.
Yes. Hello. Are we talking about Anvil?
Yes,
Yeah.
talking about it, how it's being beautifully redesigned.
Um,
Yeah.
Concept.
We should be able to show it off in the coming time here.
why are there 3 naked Khajiit in Border Watch sitting around a campfire?
Should there not be?
I think the real question is, why are you questioning it?
Yeah.
You see how they look at you. They're wondering why you're staring at them.
Fair enough.
I genuinely can't remember if that's just how they're dressed or if they're just missing clothes.
They got boots on, so that's good. Well, one of them doesn't.
They've got fur.
Suppose so.
It'll be possible playing 4K and 144 FPS, whatever Skyrim supports. We'll support as well. We're just a mod for Skyrim, so If you're a good enough PC to do it, then sure. I don't think Oblivion, the Skyrim regulates running at above 60, so.
Okay, I've just looked at it. The Khajiits are not supposed to be naked.
Yeah, I kind of figured that one.
We had a similar thing whenever we checked out like it was Sheogorath's shrine. We weren't sure if they were supposed to be naked or not, but I mean it made sense for them because they're Sheogorath followers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Anything else we should check out in the final minutes of the stream? Because I'm afraid I do have to jump off soon.
Did you want to go to Card Ruler or save that for later?
Well, you know, let's do that for later this week. I'll try to organize another thing maybe on Wednesday even. That way people can have a bit of time to actually see the trailer, and then we can do this again, and hopefully in a slightly more organized manner. Most of the technical issues, to be honest, were caused by myself accidentally because I didn't know the time scale command. Setting it to 0 would make your game not like freeze up. That's my bad.
Yeah.
Essentially, just because it's trying to pass time while you're fast traveling, and it can't because you set it to 0.
Yeah. The game doesn't progress at all, unfortunately.
There's some people saying they love the loading screen art. Also, to keep in mind, just like Skyrim, like you can manipulate the loading screen, so ours is a bit like a little 3D diorama. So you can kind of zoom in and zoom out, and kind of slightly rotate it.
That was the art was done by Furion, and that was then implemented by Doigsong.
Yes. Alright, then I'd like to end the stream where we started, looking out over Vilverin. As I said, we will be back next week, and we'll try and do this again, but better. Having said that, thank you everyone for watching. If you haven't yet, please do watch the trailer. Leave a like on the trailer as well. Leave a comment. It really helps push the trailer to YouTube, which in turn should help us get hopefully more hands-on and people volunteering to the project, which means hopefully an earlier release. And yeah, thank you all very much for the support. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and see you in the next one.
See you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. This is awkward.
Have you ended it?
But,